Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Story Archives, where we're going to be reviewing 28 Years Later, a film directed by Danny Boyle, and the third film in the series so far, Zach. We got 28 days, months. No, 28,
Yeah.
28 days, weeks, and years. I'm your host,
Yeah.
Mario Busto, alongside...
The other host, Zachary Newton. Welcome back. It's almost like it's been 28 hours or something since we last talked.
Has it? Has it been? Well, there's a lot of stuff coming out. We're in the midst of the summer blockbuster hype. We got... I watched Mission Impossible. I watched... What the hell else did I watch like a week ago? F1. Saw F1. Saw these neat projectors on the wall, or actually the whole theater was like a giant LED wall. It was crazy. Saw that, and then a little cherry on top to end the week, or a little decapitated head to end the week. That was disgusting. Anyways, 28 years later, watched it on Saturday morning, and I know you had watched it. You snuck away and watched it the week prior, and we wanted to do a little review. I think the movie deserves it. I think it's a long time coming. Danny Boyle is one of my favorite directors, and naturally, I kind of wanted to do a little, bonus episode for the folks out there.
100%. Yeah. The biggest difference between the both of us is I watched it late at night. You watched it early in the morning. So,
yeah,
that's fun.
I watched it. My stomach was uneasy that morning prior to watching the movie.
You were just nervous.
Maybe that's what it was. But I was on 2 hours of sleep.
Oh, that'll do it
too. And I was just like not the whole movie, but certain things, specifically the alpha ripping the head of Eric, Eddie. How did he pronounce his name? It was like a strange pronunciation of Eric. It's like Eric. He couldn't pronounce like the R.
Yeah.
When he rips his head out and the spine is, oh god, that was disgusting, bro.
Intense.
Ugh.
That thing's strong, dude. I'll tell you what, the 28 years later, there was a lot of it that kind of reminded me of like The Last of Us, but not the storyline in any way, shape, or form. But like we got like these bloaters in there. We've got like these alpha type things. So
wasn't expecting the different types of
me neither.
Of zombies or infected, so to speak. I also forgot the name because I didn't really do any. I had intended to rewatch the first two, and I didn't get around to it. So I kind of went a little blind into it, but nonetheless, wasn't expecting to see this sort of evolution of the creatures in there. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a nice sort of spiritual successor to the first two. Very eccentric, very art housey in a way, but not to the point where I felt like he was trying to toe the line and make, this is a summer blockbuster. Also going head to head with a lot of, I think films that had a bigger marketing push than this one. I mean, how much money has Apple poured into F1 trailers? I feel like I've seen 20 F1 trailers in the last year and a half. I don't know about you.
Mm-hmm. It's been a lot. I mean, and now that you've got the haptic trailer from Apple for F1, which I will say, if you can watch that on your phone or whatever, it feels pretty impressive. Like it kind of makes me want to watch the movie with like a haptic engine on or something. But yeah, there's been a lot of F1 trailers.
Yeah, too many. And to the point where that's one thing that I think bothers me about films these days is that the trailers give away the whole damn movie in a lot of times. So I don't watch trailers for TV shows. I don't watch them for films for the most part. But if you want to see a good example of a trailer, watch the 28 Years Later trailer. There's absolutely no giveaways. I was actually surprised that they used the song, the same kind of score or song in the movie itself. What was it? It was Remember or something like that. It was that radio transmission sounding thing.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact name of it, but even the trailer for 28 Years Later, I still haven't seen it. I watched the movie like 3 weeks ago, so 2 weeks ago, I guess.
So if you're listening to this, you've hopefully seen the movie, because we are going to dive into spoilers. We're going to dive into all of that. We'll dive into our favorite parts of the movie, our least favorite parts of the movie, the things that creeped us out the most, all those things, what we're looking forward to, because it clearly is leading to a second one that has been confirmed. And I had to battle people. I was arguing with people after the movie. I was vehement.
Yeah.
I was telling them Cillian Murphy was not in that movie. He was not that emaciated zombie that everybody thought that was him. By the way, I would be insulted if I was Cillian Murphy, that everyone sees this emaciated zombie and they're saying, "Hey, is that you? Was that you in there?" You're like, no.
I was thinking about that too. I was like, that's not a compliment, dude. I'd be disappointed if people were like, that's Cillian Murphy. Like, bro, what? Like, I'm not that skinny. I'm not that tiny. Like, if I were him, I'd imagine.
I'd immediately start like eating pasta and ice cream.
Yeah.
I need much of an excuse for that.
You gotta fatten up. But
exactly.
Confirmed, it is not him.
Yeah, I was arguing. I said, no, there's gonna be a second one. And clearly after the film, the one thing I was left wanting more of, because my favorite dynamic in the movie was the father and son dynamic. Aaron Taylor Johnson's character Jamie with his son Spike was my favorite part of the movie. The first 30 to 45 minutes when they're preparing, or it's his son's almost like the son's coming of age, or it is exactly the son's coming of age, but he's not a prodigy, so to speak, but the father is pushing the boundaries of what the town usually does. He wants to take him out into the forest, into civilization, before the usual kids go. So he's 12 years old and he's taking him out there. That was my favorite part of the movie. The whole build-up of it, the preparation in the beginning, and that whole mission out, like the first day out, all the stuff that goes down, the sort of Aaron Taylor Johnson killed it, by the way, to the point where now I know he's in the running for James Bond.
Yeah.
Put this on the top of your reel, Aaron, for the role if he wants it. I would assume who the hell wouldn't want that role, because he was good. I mean, he was convincing and just solid character. My favorite character in the movie, to be honest, was him. And he's not a black and white character. He's kind of gray area. He has his wife who's sick. He's having an affair with the teacher. These different types of things in the character that make him sort of an appealing, relatable character in some way, in a sense. Like he's very human. He's a loving father, but at the same time he's flawed, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I think I would agree. The first 30 minutes or so, the whole movie was good. I really did enjoy the whole movie.
You really loved it, because you don't really ever, you don't really get too high or low on much, unless you drank a really good whiskey or had a really good coffee or watched like a really good movie, or usually like things really have to impress you. And you left that, and I think you called me or texted me and were like, you got to go watch this. Yeah. So sorry, I interrupted you, but I wanted to let the audience know.
Yeah, it's true. Thank you for explaining the passion that I don't necessarily portray in my words. But yeah, no, it was a really, really good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I think one of the things that I appreciated a lot about this movie is I feel like it opens this I'll call it a franchise up to more people than the first two did. Because when I think about the very first movie, 28 Days Later, it was a very artistic movie in my opinion. Just the way it was shot, the cameras it was shot on, the style it was shot on, and it was like just out the gate zombie. This movie did not feel like that to me. This movie felt like a proper story. If I should say that, it's the kind of thing where it's like, it's something I think a lot of people could maybe not relate to, but they could get attached to the characters. They could get attached to the storyline of this family with Spike and everybody. And it kind of felt like something being told from like one of the old times or something like that, which I enjoyed as well. So I think it was very accessible to a lot of people. After having seen it, I feel like I probably could have got my wife to go watch it, but
oh, no way.
We'll see. I don't know.
You think so?
She used to watch some horror movies with me, but she hasn't in a while. So, but the thing is, like, this didn't feel like it was just a horror movie. Like, I didn't feel like I was just there watching like something for all the jump scares and all of that stuff. Yeah, sure, there were some elements of that, but it was very subdued. The focus was on the storyline, which I did really enjoy, and I feel like this movie's like the perfect setup for the next movie in a lot of ways. It feels like it's going to be a really good prequel to what's coming up. And I'm kind of attached to the character now. Like, I feel like I'm a little more attached to the character than like when I think of 28 Weeks Later. Because when I think of that movie,
Yeah.
the thing
Can't
about
believe
that one, it just feels like you're kind of there watching just a series of events unfold. And days later to a degree as well, but 28 weeks later more so to me, it just felt like I was just watching chaos unfold the whole movie, and I was just kind of like a fly on the wall. This one didn't feel like that. I was really drawn into the story.
I don't know what it was about 28 weeks later. When I watched it, I was a teenager when I watched it. And I don't know what it was about that, but I feel like I saw that movie several times. Like, it was one of those that I would put on if I had like friends over the house. I would put it on just because, and I feel like this movie captured that opening scene of 28 weeks later with the house being stormed and the kids watching Teletubbies, and
Yeah.
pretty much young Jimmy's sort of, I think, his villain origin story. I don't think Jimmy's going to be a good guy. I think I think he might have elements of being good in some ways, but I think he's mainly psychotic. And who wouldn't be? And they allude to it in a few ways. So I think he's going to be pretty much a psychotic villain in a sense. But they started with that chaos of 28 weeks later, and they even had kind of like a similar moment where, remember when the husband leaves the wife behind in 28 weeks later, and he shuts the door? I thought that happened again with the mother when she shuts the door in the opening scene, and I'm like, oh my God, she locked the kids out. That's even worse than 28 weeks later. But no, then she gets eaten by an infected or gets attacked by an infected, and then he dips from the house. So I felt like it immediately right out the gate was like, don't forget what type of movie this is. Don't forget like what we're connected to, in some sense. I do still think that there will always be, because this film or movie sort of pushes the envelope. It's playing like Cinderella hopeful scores while zombies are tearing out the bowels of somebody's dad, and
kind of comedic in that sense.
I think that you'll always have an element of people who will not like this movie, and that's okay. They'll just leave it and say that was weird, and I don't think Danny Boyle cares. He's like a very established director at this point, and we're gonna do some review of some of his other films later on. But yeah, and funny enough, I kind of have like a unique attachment to his work in some ways. I haven't watched every single one of his films, but I remember a moment, in my early teenage years of watching one of his films and like having like a sort of takeaway from it. So, and it wasn't Train Spotting. I was not I was not binging or heroin. It wasn't that movie that I was having the epiphany with.
That's probably a good thing.
Anyways, going to the first 30 minutes, because you mentioned a good thing, that this was very much building sort of a story, opening up a universe of possibilities wherever they want to take the franchise in the future. I agree. The story of the father and the son was very relatable. It immediately kind of invests you in the character in a way, right? Where you put yourself, if you're older, you put yourself in the shoes of Aaron Taylor Johnson. If you're younger, you put yourself maybe in Spike's shoes. Or maybe a bit of both, because if you're thinking about if your mom is sick, you're thinking, what would I do in that situation if I was a 12-year-old kid? I just saw my dad cheat on my mom, and I'm realizing maybe he doesn't have her best interest at mind, right? That all of that's coming into play. So I think you're right. It does, a story like that does attract somebody new to the series, which I will say they didn't do a very good job of. I know I complained about trailers that show too much, but I don't think they did a very good job of showing that this was at its heart. Honestly, I thought it was going to be a father-son story. It ended up being more focused on the son. I thought that was sort of the purpose of this one, and I think it's for a reason, because it was built for 2 parts, and I think the father's going to be a lot more central in the second part, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I would imagine so, especially with Aaron Taylor Johnson being the lead there. I would imagine. Although I did hear it might not just be one more movie. So I heard this is kind of like the midpoint right now. So we had 28 days later, 28 weeks later. We know they filmed the second movie back to back with this one, right? Like, so it's 28 years later, The Bone Temple. I heard there's a third movie, so this is actually supposed to be a trilogy of 28 years later. I don't think the third one's been greenlit just yet, but it's something that's that Danny Boyle was talking about it. I heard him mention a few things on an interview recently as well. I'm pretty sure it's going to get greenlit. I'd be surprised if it didn't, just considering how much they brought in already from this movie. So yeah, I feel like it could definitely suck in a new audience.
But what's funny is that he's not directing the runner-up, the sequel to this. It's gonna be Nia DaCosta, who directed Candyman. Oh no, she wrote Candyman. Is this her directing? It's not her directing debut, is it? She has 3 upcoming films, or 2 films and 1 television show that's in development. Interesting. Okay, we won't dive too much into her, at least not on this podcast, but she does have 2 films in development, so I'm interested to see what happens there. And they already are saying that they'll have Ralph Fiennes coming back, or Rafe Fiennes, however you develop it. Pronounce it. So interesting. Let's talk about that opening sequence, because I will say, like, just most movies would have had the whole movie be about the first mission out, right? I almost wasn't expecting them to come back from the first mission. I thought that was going to be, I keep calling it a mission, but whatever you want to call it.
No, but it was a mission. Like they went out, they were doing
supplies.
something. Yeah, I was kind of like biting my nails for a moment there. I was
oh
like,
my gosh, man,
are they gonna die this? Because I'll let you finish in a second. But if you think about the first 2 movies, they're brutal, and they're brutal up front. And outside of the very first scene in here, like it was actually pretty tame. I was expecting them to die rather quickly, or somebody to die. Like, I was expecting a loss. I was surprised how long we went without a loss. Just a ton of brutality.
Yeah, same here. Because I'm expecting everyone and you go into a movie like this, and you don't want to get attached to any one character too much, because you feel like anybody is free game to get killed in this series.
Yeah.
But I will say, I think, at least maybe because I enjoyed the first part of the movie so much, that the rest of it had a hard time competing to me with the opening. But that's just personal preference. I still think the latter half, or the other third, was still very good. But in terms of the setup, he takes his boy out there. The boy has the whole rundown from the town mayor, or whatever she is. Yeah. And she says, if you go out there, there are no rescue missions. And it pans over and you see the graveyard there, right? Then they open the gates, pretty much no return. Then you find out you already kind of knew they were on an island of an island, or an island off the coast of an island. But just that whole concept of, we go out with low tide, we can't come back, we got to make it before high tide, or we got to wait till the next morning. So now you're on a clock. It's like, you ever play a video game, like, or even Majora's Mask, if you think back in the day, like, where you have the clock, and every single moment, you're like, this is going to take too long. They got to get back. The water's going to be too high. The father's already warning him. If we go back and the tide's too high, it'll drag us out to sea. We can't do that. And then you have the introduction of the various creatures, because up till now, we're thinking it's just the runners. But then you see these disgusting, Varys-looking creatures from Game of Thrones that are just crawling on the ground, sucking on worms and shoelaces and all sorts of things on the ground. Yeah. They don't look very threatening. They do look terrifying, and they do seem to be able to sneak up on you. So it is sort of a marvel how they've survived this long, to be honest with you. But maybe that's because they make such, almost like no noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably not a lot of predators either, at least in this general area would be my guess, which is something I've always kind of found surprising in, I think, all of these movies, honestly, aside from the monkeys in 28 Days Later that were initially infected with the rage virus. Aside from those, I don't think I've seen any freaking animals that were infected with the rage virus. Like, can you imagine a flock of birds being infected with the rage virus? Bro, like, this thing would be worldwide. Like, this thing is still just the UK.
Yeah.
It's not a global event. I was shocked by that.
That was a big point, and I think super unrealistic, having gone through COVID,
Exactly.
I think is very unrealistic that they would have been able to shut it down. But then again, if everything's being communicated very quickly, everybody pretty much said screw the UK and just sectioned them off because you're talking to the Swedish guy and he's like, by the way, the Swedish guy was very well adjusted to being thrown because he essentially tells Spike, he says, you're gonna be stuck. I'm stuck here. Once you go to this island, you can't leave this island. And he was very well adjusted. I would have been losing my crap, dude.
Oh, I know. I'd have been so fucking pissed off.
Yeah.
So pissed off if I just landed there. I was like, yeah, I'm not getting out. Just because of something stupid happening.
Yeah. Not to mention, by the way, IMDb, this movie I think had like such few pictures out there. I don't know if this is true or not, but like the fifth picture is like the premiere. It's not even in the film. But speaking about what was the point that I just said about
I don't know where you're going with that. You were talking
no,
about
but
the
before.
Oh, being well adjusted for, falling on an island where you can't leave.
Yeah. It would not have been me, put it that way. And he throws his phone away as if it's
useless. I mean, the phone was dead. I mean, it kind of was useless unless you got like a power brick somewhere hidden on an island.
I don't know. You could use a potato or something.
I'm with you. I wouldn't have thrown mine away either. I probably would have kept
phones
it
on the island.
Find something.
So he was like very much throwing caution to the wind.
How'd you like his sexy girlfriend?
Well, what was hilarious is like,
what's wrong with their face?
What was hilarious that all the men in the theater were laughing. At that scene, it got audible laughter in the theater. Pretty much all men laughing. Because honestly, it was pretty much a commentary on like beauty standards these days, and like how a lot of people fall for it and going for like this endless plastic surgery thing. So hot take, but Danny Boyle laid it out there. I was laughing at what was it that the kid said to him? He said, "Oh, we have a girl in our village. Whenever she eats something, her face gets puffy like that too."
Something like that. Like she's allergic to something.
I wanted to talk. Now I remember what the point was. It had nothing to do with that. It was about the animals. So these infected have this sort of insatiable hunger at all times, right? So even if the animals aren't getting infected for some reason, you would assume that they would just be eating every single deer in the entire place. But you saw like this herd, this like endless herd running about. And it was I was thinking to myself, like, I feel like, especially with the alphas in the area, that they would just be eating all these things if there's no humans, right? That's another thing that I don't quite understand. I would assume as you begin to run out of food, no matter if you're infected or not, you would get weaker over time and maybe turn into those fat creatures that crawl on the ground, right? Or maybe they would be emaciated, like the one that everybody thought was Cillian Murphy.
Not the gluttons.
But these seem very well fed even 28 years later. So I find that pretty interesting.
I mean, all of the UK, they would have had to feed on. So, I mean, I would assume that there's a decent amount of sustenance, shall we call it, in the area. I also don't remember, like, they're not that fast. Like, they're just human fast, right?
No, bro. They're fast. Did you not see that alpha running in the water?
All right, bro. Yeah, the alpha's fast as shit. Let's
set up the alpha, by the way, because that was the most intense part of the opening.
Oh yeah,
mission.
It was impressive.
When they're in the field, how haunting it is to see the one come out. Like the regular ones come out.
Mm-hmm.
Then they all stop or they turn around, and then the dad immediately knows, oh, there's an alpha in the area. He knows it immediately from the deer head or the stag's head.
Yeah.
That's pretty much ripped from the
and 10
from the body
feet in the air or more. Yeah.
Exactly. So he knows immediately there something's up. And the father figure at this point in the movie hasn't freaked out about anything. Like nothing has caught him off guard. He's been cool, collected about everything until this moment. And that's when the movie really kicks up a notch, is when you find out about the existence of these alphas. And then you just see it standing there, almost like the freaking like the head of the army, just watching his soldiers, commanding his soldiers to go forward. And the creepiest shot is when they're in the house in the attic, and they're just looking at it like it's just standing there in the field, and they're like, we're gonna have to wait it out. And bro,
That was
my
terrifying.
goodness,
Bro. With the whole line of like, yeah, the alphas, they're smart, right? Like they're the smart ones.
Yeah.
I was wholly expecting like this alpha thing to just sneak up in the middle of the night and be the thing that's busting down the house, you know? Just grab him by the leg.
I was like, how convenient that the attic falls over this night, but they were moving quite a lot up there. So
yeah, they were. But I mean, don't forget the whole herd of deer or whatever ran by. That's what shook it all down.
True, dude. That whole sequence and probably my favorite part of the movie is when they're going across. Which, by the way, I would have been hauling ass across that channel back to the island. I wouldn't have been walking or laughing just because I'm in the water now. I would have been booking it, even without the alpha, like not being on my tail. I would have been booking it back there. I probably would have never left that island ever again in my life.
It's a pretty cool channel though, like that
sick.
water bridge. That, every time it's low tide, you can go across. That's pretty sick. Like I'd totally want to go visit that, just to walk across it. That seems cool.
I kind of want the thumbnail. I kind of want the thumbnail for this episode to be either our faces photoshopped on alphas, or you can bleep out their massive privates.
The dongs there,
or our faces photoshopped on Spike and Jamie running across the channel with the alpha in the background. That scene was sick with the northern lights everywhere. Just I mean that looked like something out of like one of these Nordic mythology things, when they're just kind of walking on this water bridge that looks like an infinity bridge, and there's just like stars everywhere. And that felt like a movie ender, not a first 30 minutes of the movie.
No, it did. Yeah, you're totally right. I can't disagree with that at all. It was one of my favorite parts of the movie, was just the whole run back. And man, I can still, if I like close my eyes, I can still hear the doom 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 doom. I'm like, dang, dude. Yeah. I don't want that thing chasing after me. That thing was fast. Yeah. And I still can't believe how big it got either, by the way.
Yeah, it was insane. I mean, well, we learned a few things about the alpha, right? We learned it is smarter than the rest of them. Mm-hmm. It is human in a sense. It has kept some of its humanity because it picked a mate. It had a girl, and he got her pregnant. If you remember, the alpha in the train stands over the girl, recognizes her. Okay, he looks down at her and recognizes her. That was his love. That was like his girl. So he freaks out because the baby's gone and his girl is dead. So he was going to still go after them, but he was enraged even further because of that. He clearly looks down at her and recognizes her. Yeah.
Are you saying the alpha impregnated the other zombie? Is that what you're saying? Because I did not think that at all.
That was my understanding, is that the alpha impregnated that infected. Maybe not. But how would it be pregnant for 28 years unless it was recent?
It could have been recent. I mean, I would imagine the ones that are 28 years old are probably the alphas, the bloaters, and
yeah. But he looked down at her like,
"You're one of me," maybe.
Nah,
I didn't think he impregnated her. I mean, that's a big.
Well, then again, to say how would the baby not be infected if he impregnated her?
That's my point. That's why I don't think he impregnated her. I think she was probably a pregnant woman who had somewhat recently gotten infected. Yeah, because I mean, the placenta is what kept the baby human.
That could be plausible, because Kelson does say the miracle of the placenta, but I had understood it. Like, he looks down at her like he got her pregnant. Like, he looks down at her like that was his baby. I wish I could pull up that scene right now, but
if you were a big dude like that, just running around with your junk out, like, you'd probably look down at everybody like, "Huh, I own you."
That's my woman. Yeah, so, I'd totally be Genghis Khan, 100%.
Yeah. So 100%. I mean,
I just crazy don't think it was him. Statistic. There's like a crazy statistic that like half the world is related to Genghis Khan somehow.
Really?
Yeah. Look it up.
Am I related to Genghis Khan? I'll see. Well, I'll let you know if I find anything.
Okay, so we learned that they're smart like that. We learned that they do have love interests. And what was the other thing that we learned about the alphas? I think that was it. I can't remember anything else.
Just smart, massive. They don't wear underwear, nor does most zombies 28 years later.
Yeah. And what's the name of that famous monkey scientist, Jane Goodall?
The monkey science? I don't remember.
Zoologist. She used to live among the apes.
You mean in real life?
Yeah. That's kind of what Dr. Kelson is.
Yeah.
Because he can kill these alphas if he wants to, but he chooses to observe them and kind of treat them as if, like a zoologist in a sense. Like if you ever see those like Shark Week where they tag a shark and it comes back and they know exactly where their shark has been and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He says, "Oh, we call this one Samson. He's been in this area for the last 3 years." You know.
Mm-hmm.
So he's treating things like a zoologist. I have a feeling that guy is going to survive anything, Dr. Kelson, which I really did enjoy. He's one of my favorite actors, Ralph Fiennes. Just coming off the Conclave, too. I mean, he's just like, he's on a run right now. Not that I can't remember ever seeing a bad movie with him, to be honest. I like the introduction to him. I was not expecting him to be not an evil person. I was expecting him to be
a little crazy.
I never expected him to be malicious. I expected him to be a kook. That's what and he is a kook. I mean, I get it twisted. He does have his own constructed mausoleum of bones that he has built, and he did take this kid's mother's skull and handed him the skull, and there was some sort of dark sickness to that.
No,
but you have your own take on Dr. Kelson. What do you think about the guy?
You and I actually disagree on this. We were talking just before we hit record and decided to pause that, but I did not think that at all. Now, I will say, I fully expected when we were to finally meet this doctor for him to be kind of like off kilter. And like even when we first saw him in the show, I was like, he seems normal. What's the weird thing about him? Like, is he gonna eat these people in their sleep or something? And I'll be honest, dude, I didn't see any of that. I feel like the doctor, he was great. Dr. Kelson was great. He was helpful. He helped Spike mourn. That's how I read that. It was, to me, that was not a creepy thing. It was a mercy act. It was a mercy killing to get rid of his mother. She wanted it. She knew it was coming. That's why she had him basically trank Spike. So I did not think that was a weird thing at all. I felt it was much more of a mercy thing. And I'll be honest, that whole situation made me like him more. It made me feel like he was more human and much more sane than I initially thought he was going to be.
I guess my only take is, and we will have to have a caveat with this because I want to talk about another thing, is that I would not have let him kill my mother if it is not her time to go yet. And he tranks her and kills her.
Him. Tranks Spike, not her.
Yeah, whatever. He tranks him to kill her.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up in his stupor of, imagine being drugged, dude. You hug your mom, you're drugged. You sort of snap out of your drug-induced, tranquilization, and you wake up to your mother's skull in your hands.
Yeah.
That's not okay. No. I understand, there's nothing, just absolutely not. She can die on the island and be buried properly.
No, hold on a second here, though. All right, look, I will
remind me to do the caveat. Remind me to do the caveat, because there is a caveat.
I will remind you to do the caveat. I will hand it to you that while, yes, that would be a very unfortunate thing in the context of, you are drugged, and then you wake up from being drugged, and somebody hands you the skull of your mother.
Unfortunate is not the word I would use.
That sucks. That's bad, right?
I would say traumatizing.
But in isolation, sure. But if you think about this, his mother was going to die a pretty gruesome death. It was painful. It was painful for him. It was painful for her. She wanted it. It was the way out. It was about time. She barely made it here, really. anyways.
I
So
will give you that. She doesn't seem like she had much time left. I
no.
will give you that.
So now would you selfishly want your mother to suffer for your own desires?
I don't think I don't think she was of her right mind.
She
Okay,
was in the
which
moment though.
I don't know, man. The thing is that miracles can happen. I don't know. I'm not leaving there putting the skull on top of Skull Mountain. I'm sorry, buddy. It's not gonna happen. It's
I
not gonna
mean,
happen.
look, it was a way to say goodbye. Plus, what are you going back to? What are you going back to? A husband who cheats on you. So like I would imagine, this Spike was probably thinking things like that as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I I will disagree with you, and I'll agree to disagree with you on this matter.
I don't think
I
Dr.
I
Kelson's a
think Dr.
bad
Kelson was
guy
good.
of his own
Yeah.
right, of his own estimation. I don't. I think he isn't. He has processed this world in a way that is helping him cope with the brutality of it, right? And it is a new type of world that Spike has to sort of adapt to in that sense. And
Yeah.
you're also in a scenario where if he does have to lug his mother back, not to mention he was saved by Eric, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a sense, I know Eric was a prick, but nonetheless, Eric did save them.
Yeah.
There, he probably wouldn't have made it back
No.
to the island alive had he had to take his mother back with him. And I think the mother knew that too, and I think that's why she was probably ready to go. But Spike did make an impulsive decision to take her over there in the first place. So, also, you know how we feel about Doctor Prognosis on this show. Famously in Last of Us, Doctor said that a certain girl had to be killed upon the first examination of her. So what if Dr. Kelson was a kook and maybe she would have been over there? I'm just kidding. I really do think he was right about it. But nonetheless, let me get to the caveat though. Because
All right,
there is a
what's the
very,
caveat?
very odd scene that occurs when Spike is keeping watch and there is that fat thing that is creeping towards him and sucking on his shoelace. And at first you think the father caught up to them and saved them, right? Because the thing it was about to eat him, okay?
Yeah.
Then we get a cutscene where we see it was the mother who grabbed the jacket that Spike lent to her and pretty much bashes thing's head in. How does she
Yeah.
go from weak to that? My take on this. Actually, let me hear yours first, and then I'll give you what my take on that was.
So when we say weak, I think we need to define weak. I think it's more of a mental weakness, not a physical weakness. So I feel like
Remember,
that
she had to be
moment-
carried. Remember, she had to be carried at one point.
at one point, but also like it kind of, again, I feel like that was because of a mental thing, because she is physically able to walk and carry herself and do things. I mean, Eric was even
spurts,
like,
in spurts.
she can walk,
In
right? Like
spurts, in
exactly in spurts. Yeah, so I don't think it's a physical weakness. I think it's tied to a mental weakness. And so I feel like just in that moment, it was something where like I don't think she was herself necessarily, the way that scene felt like it unfolded. But I do believe it was her that kind of just like woke up and, mother instincts just beat the living or
Do you think it
beat
was
the dead shit out of the zombie.
Okay, so mother
Yeah.
instincts. Okay,
That's what
So-
I felt, yeah.
mine. I'll give you the mother instincts. I do think there's something to it. My takeaway is that she is kind of half infected. That everyone there is sort of infected with the rage virus in some way, because the strength that she was able to muster and the way that she killed it, and the way that she killed it, the aggressiveness, the rage that she killed it with. That's why it's called the rage virus.
Yeah.
My guess is that everybody on the island is infected, and that when they die, they do become infected.
I will grant you part of that. I don't know that I would say everybody on the island is partially infected, but there were a few things in this movie that made me feel like even the father, like he was partially infected. Like I
Jamie?
kind of felt, Jamie, I kind of felt like Jamie was partially infected at some points too, because I don't know, it just kind of felt like it. Like you're right. That extra strength, it kind of reminded me of 28 Weeks Later to an extent, where, like, for example, in 28 Weeks Later, I mean, the two main characters, I think the one guy played like a Doctor Who or something as well. But the two main characters, the husband and wife, at least the wife, I would say, like, she was infected, but she wasn't really infected, right? Like, because of the weird thing with like her eyes or, you know, whatever was in her DNA, she could transmit the disease, but she herself wasn't necessarily infected. She had that one bloody eye. Now, we didn't see like a bloody eye in this, but it did kind of have that vibe where it was like, I don't know, maybe this just like burst of anger was from the virus somehow. So I'll grant that to you as well.
Or it could have been an artistic decision, in some sense, because there are times with the language in the movie that the humans are very much acting like monsters themselves. When you have the father saying, "That's a beautiful kill, Spike. That's a beautiful kill, my boy." That's a disturbing sentence. You know what I mean? Like, in a sense, like because you're just killing former humans. So it's not like you put a shot through a deer that you're gonna eat and provide for the family. No, like you're killing a former human, and so they're very desensitized. These things are not. He even says it when it's hanging upside down in the house. He says they have no souls.
Yeah. And I would say like that right there. I was just gonna say was the most disturbing part of the movie for me was the whole like infected thing hanging upside down. Clearly felt like, I mean, he was basically bait for somebody, whatever. But like he's got a bag over his head, pulled up with blood.
That's a perfect transition to who left the body there, which is a transition to the end of the movie. I don't know if you picked up on it, but good old Jimmy, the young kid who we start the movie with, who's wearing the tiara and all the jewelry at the end.
Yeah.
Who's a very charismatic guy, albeit looks like a psycho. His crew was definitely the ones who left the body there tied upside down, because they tie another one upside down and put a bag over its head in that very sort of Tarantino-esque bizarre sequence at the end, right? Even probably further than Tarantino would go. Not in the violent sense, but in the eccentric sense of it.
Yeah.
Because these guys feel like characters out of a comic book more than or a graphic novel than like grounded movie characters in a sense.
100%. I'm glad you picked up on that, because I did not pick up on them tying him upside down and putting a bag on his head. It at least didn't tie that together. So that's good. I like that. Yeah. I'm glad I know who it came from.
Jimmy has also graffitied. So there's a Bible verse that says he comes on the cloud or something like that. And then he changed it to Jimmy comes on the cloud or something like that, which is he's essentially putting himself in a God type position in his own mind. And the cross that his dad gives him, it's upside down on his chest. Yeah. So Jimmy ain't going to be a good guy, which is going to have to lead to Mr. Jamie moving his ass off the island to go save young Spike, who, although he met Dr. Kelson and Dr. Kelson didn't end up being somebody who harmed him, I think Jimmy's crew, if Spike is lucky, he doesn't turn into one of those blonde wig-wearing kids doing somersaults off of rocks to go kill infected.
Yeah. My guess is they snorted a bunch of cocaine before they did that. See?
There's probably a lot left over in the apocalypse for sure.
I would imagine so. Think about that. The world's vast library of cocaine all for yourself. Yeah, no, it was a very interesting scene. It was I don't even know what I would want to say. Like it's not what I expected the end of the movie to be whatsoever.
Oh, me neither. At all.
It came out of left field. And like the music, like what was up? Like I thought it was funny.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought Jimmy was a bit badass when he's standing on the rock. He says, "Do you mind if we step in?" I thought that was kind of badass, but he is gonna be, I think, an evil villain.
I liked it too for a moment. I was like, oh shit, that's cool, awesome. Yeah. I know who that is. But then like the moment the music kicked in, I'm like, dang it. I put my head down. I'm like, they're all bad. Like that's just they're all, and then like these people are freaking animals.
Yeah.
Like really, like like what I mean by that is these people were getting so much pleasure out of the brutality and the ways that they would kill the infected.
Mhm.
I have no problem with the idea of just like like I had no problem early in the movie with like Jamie and Spike going out and actually hunting the infected and
Yeah.
killing them. I
You gotta
think yeah,
train them.
they're
Yeah.
they're like
You have to.
apex predators.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do that because you're gonna die.
Yeah.
But don't freaking like play with it and have fun with it. Like that's effed up.
Yeah. Um. Clearly gonna be sort of the build up there, and then the second movie was filmed back to back with the first, so that should be dropping. I hope in December. That would be a nice little treat to end the year to get
I
this sequel to this.
it would be nice. I recently have heard it's January now.
I'm okay with that too.
Yeah,
I'm okay with
so
that.
it should be soon. I mean, literally, they did film me back to back, so it can't be that.
It's
that
in
far
post.
off, a few
It's in
months.
post according to
Yeah.
IMDb. So that is
Yeah.
guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that just about covers it all. Overall, I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it one that I'm gonna go race to rewatch? No.
No.
Probably in sequence with the other. I am a little bit tempted to go back and rewatch 28 Weeks Later and 28 Days Later, though. And could see this being a movie series that I would enjoy watching with somebody who's never watched it before. That would probably be the thing that drives me to the rewatch, would be that.
Yeah.
To see them freak out, to see them go, oh, wow, he left his wife behind. Like that, those types of moments that I want to see
Yeah.
people's reactions on is the type of shit that I would like. So we got some fun categories spurred up here. So let's do the rest of the episode in category mode here and go from there. Some of them
All right.
prepped, some of them I have no idea. And are we starting with, which one are we starting with?
We're gonna start with the top 5. So ranking Danny Boyle movies in order 1 through 5.
Perfect. Now, I have seen a good number of his films.
Yeah, you have.
Are you sitting this one out, or am I just giving my top 5?
I'm gonna sit this one out because I don't think I've even seen a total of 5 of his films. Not by choice, just happens to find out that I have not watched 5 of his films. So I'm gonna sit this one out. I will let you take the reins on this one.
Okay, so I didn't write down my order, but I kind of have a loose order. I just need to figure out what my number 4 is going to be. So let me figure out number 4, because I know what my number 1, 2, and 3 are. And I just have to figure out 4 and 5.
I mean, I can give you my number 1 and 2, but it's nothing that's a surprise. It's 28 Years Later's number 1 and 28 Days Later's number 2. So that's what I've got.
So Weeks doesn't even make a top 3.
Well, Weeks was not directed by him.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Was that Alex Garland?
I don't recall. Weeks Later directed. Let me see. That was directed by Juan Carlos
Never mind.
Fresnadillo.
Never mind. Okay. My top 5. I'm having a hard time with the... You know what? Okay. I'm going to go 5. 28 Weeks Later. 4.
28 weeks. Okay. All right, but remember, he didn't direct that one.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Then I'll just put Days there. Okay.
Okay.
I just always associate it with him.
Yeah. It's hard not to.
Yeah. I'll go Days. 4. I'm gonna go Years. 28 Years Later. Okay.
Okay. Wow, really? Really? 4? Okay.
Yes. Because unless I'm blanking on another movie here.
All right,
Okay.
keep going.
Number 3, I'm gonna go Yesterday. Which is the movie about the guy who gets in a car accident and wakes up having the whole world has erased the Beatles from their memory, and he learns every Beatles song. And there's a neat scene because John Lennon is still alive in the movie. It's great. I love that movie. It does not have a good metal score. Who gives a shit about metal scores? It's a great movie. I don't give a damn what anybody tells me. Trainspotting was an argument for number 5. I'm not gonna lie. So it may have to surpass 28 Days Later for me. Train Spotting at 5. So number 2 is going to be the Steve Jobs movie with Michael Fassbender. If you know the show, you know I like Fassbender. The movie's great. It also followed up the movie that was not good with Ashton Kutcher playing Steve Jobs. And I think that movie Steve Jobs that Boyle directed, I think he came in later in the process and pretty much saved it. If I'm not, I might be making that up. I may have that much respect for the man. Also, fun fact, he directed the entire 2012 London Olympic ceremony, the opening ceremony, which I thought...
David Boyle? Danny Boyle, sorry.
Yeah. Yep, he directed the entire opening ceremony, which I think is... that opened my mind to what a director could do, even like in the experiential like live production side, and I found that awesome. And then number 1 for me is Slumdog Millionaire, 100%. That movie has a bit of everything in it. And I remember watching it in theaters. I don't remember, how old was I when that came out? Let me check. Sheesh. That was 2008. So I was 14 years old.
Yeah, I was a bit younger than that. I wasn't allowed to watch that movie.
No, I was 16 years old.
Still was a bit younger than that. So that's why I still haven't seen it for no particular reason. But yeah.
I was 16. I was watching it, and then I remember going to the bathroom like after the movie. Like I had to, take a leak or something, and I was like, I just thought about the movie. I was like transported there. It might have been middle of the movie where like I had to run like because I didn't want to miss a single minute of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like the way that this movie has made me feel, like I want to make other people feel that, like that sort of transporting you into the story where you're just living. I don't want to tell you anything because you haven't watched it, but like it's just such a great movie. Highly recommend.
I do want to watch it.
I would say watch that like yesterday. That's how. Wow. Not literally the movie yesterday, but like watch that as soon as possible. Yeah.
100%. I'll watch it. It's been on my list for a while. There's just been so many other movies I've been watching.
Honorable mentions, 127 Hours. That's the movie with James Franco where it's a true story. The guy who got his arm stuck in the rocks while bouldering for 127 hours.
Ooh, really?
I watched it. It's very well made. I watched that movie rubbing my arm the entire movie. I was horrified. I was claustrophobic the whole time. And yeah, that's my top 5 Danny Boyle films.
All right, cool. I have not seen that Steve Jobs. You told me. I think that was the one you told me to watch.
You, Mr. Apple fanboy, have not seen that?
All right, yeah, but so here's the thing. Years ago, I watched Jobs, the Ashton Kutcher one, in theaters, and then I was just like, I was kind of done after that. I was just like, don't really want to go watch. I mean, because I just watched it, and it's not like it was the best movie or anything like that. So
you're crazy. You gotta. I actually bought that movie.
The Ashton Kutcher one?
No, hell no, dude.
That's what I'm saying though, because I had went out and I had seen that in theaters, and I was just like, I don't care to watch another Steve Jobs movie right now.
I like Ashton Kutcher as a person. What I don't like is that when he takes a role, his voice is the same in almost every role he has. He did no vocal transformation to play Steve Jobs at all. And I don't really respect that in a sense. I don't. I think that's shit. I think that's like for the amount that you get paid for that role to play that sort of an iconic figure in human history. And I don't know. They pretty much stopped that casting at he looks like Jobs. He can, if we put him in a turtleneck and we switch up his hair a bit, he looks like Jobs. But the performance, I didn't even watch the movie, dude. I just saw a couple scenes. I saw a trailer and I was just checked out. I just knew I wasn't gonna.
It wasn't great. It wasn't great. I mean, I think you're right. He looked the part, but that's kind of where the magic ended, unfortunately. So
I might be being harsh, but whatever. That's my opinion, dude. It is.
I mean, it's not like it was a bad movie. But you're right though. Like you watch it and you're like, yeah, Ashton. Oh, it's Steve Jobs. That's
my simple measure that I do when I'm watching a movie or a TV show is. If in the film or in the show, I forget that I am watching Leonardo DiCaprio or Brad Pitt or Michael Fassbender, or Idris Elba, or
Yeah,
Aaron
yeah.
Taylor Johnson. If I, in my mind, am calling them by their character's name in the movie, they're doing a good job by my standards. Not saying I'm Mr. Grade 'em all and know everything. I don't. But in terms of performance-wise, like, even I was watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I love that movie.
Freaking movie. I
was watching it, and I was like, DiCaprio's the biggest movie star in the world. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, that's Rick Dalton, whatever his name is in there. Because I am bad with movie names once I leave the movie. But I was like, that's Cliff Booth. Like, these are the two biggest movie stars in the entire freaking world, and they made me forget it. Whereas sometimes I love Tom Cruise. I would probably respect him more than any movie star out there because he knows he's a movie star. Mm-hmm. I see him as Ethan Hunt, but at the same time, it's Tom Cruise because he's just he's like a Steve McQueen type figure to me. So anyways, let's keep it moving.
Fair enough.
Well, go watch Steve Jobs. You will freaking love that movie. Really, really, honestly.
All right. Which one, though, first? Slumdog
for you, Jobs? I didn't know you hadn't seen Jobs, so I would recommend go watch Jobs because I know how much you love Apple and the history there. And then Slumdog, watch it with your wife. She'll love that movie.
Really?
That's like a movie for the family. Like that's a movie for like.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. It's a hell of a movie.
My family's whack, dude. Like the random ass movies I wasn't allowed to watch as a kid. I don't get. Like as I've grown older, I'm like, what? Out of everything, you wouldn't let me watch this. All right. Anyways, let's go to the second question. So the second question is going to be another top 5 kind of question. I think it's actually our last top 5 question. But we're basically going to form teams on this. So I'm going to have a team. You're going to have a team. You don't know what mine is. I don't know what yours is.
Okay.
And then after this, they're going to go head to head. Okay. So the question is, who would you want on your team in a zombie apocalypse? Who's your top 5?
Okay, I prepped for this one. I remember this one.
Mm-hmm.
Top 5. Are we going 5 to 1? Because I don't have my 5 is not in any particular order.
Let's go 5 to 1. I think we should put it in that order. We'll rank it in that order.
All right, I got number 5, and the one criteria we had when we came up with this was they had to be grounded characters. I can't just get Goku and tell Goku to go vaporize every infected in the world like in 24 hours. Can't do that. It has to be humans. Okay.
Yeah, and not Superman or like something stupid like
no
that.
Superpowers,
like
superpowers.
People not immortal men.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Number 5, Jason Bourne. Okay. I figure tactical hunter. He could probably do everything. Seems pretty. Seems like he can pretty much figure just about anything out tactically speaking. If I run into any issues, any sorts of Jimmy Crews, any alphas out there, I feel like with Jason Bourne at my side, tactically we're okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. Jason Bourne's great.
Let's keep the description short. I know I'm the one who talks the most, but I'll try to keep it concise. Yeah.
That's fine. All right, so that's your number 5. So my number 5 is Jim from 28 Days Later. Cillian Murphy.
Hold on. From 28 Days Later? Okay.
Yeah, from 28 Days Later. I mean, main reason for this is because, he doesn't die that we see in 28 Days Later. So I think he's got a pretty damn good track record, all right?
Okay. All right. Fair. That's fair enough.
All right.
Number 4 for me, I went usefulness, okay?
So did I on my 4. Interesting, okay.
4, I went Katniss Everdeen.
Katniss Everdeen, all right.
Hunger Games.
Yeah, I know.
Archer. She can hunt, okay? She's hot.
That's the number 1 reason why you picked her.
We need a good ratio out. We need a ratio out there, and we got to survive, and we need to, make children.
Kids. Yep.
So at the end of the day, we got to be a little bit practical in some sense. I can't just have 5 dudes in this zombie apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
So Katniss Everdeen, she can hold her own. Like all 5 of these are much tougher than me. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Katniss Everdeen, number 4.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My number 4, while I would argue is extremely practical, is not a woman. So my number 4 is Bear Grylls from Man vs. Wild.
Shit, I put him on the list, but I took him off because that's a reality show.
Yeah, but
I took him off.
I mean, he's a person though.
It is
right?
true.
Like,
it is true.
And I mean, Man vs. Wild, it's a show.
Okay,
It's the thing. He just plays himself. So
he
I'm
was my
going-
former number one, and I took him off because I didn't
bro.
think he fit. I didn't know he fit the criteria. But that's fair.
I was debating it, but I'm like, he's on TV. He's a
That's
character.
fair.
He's an actor.
More than
at the
fair.
same time,
More than fair.
Bear Grylls, my number 4. Who's your number 3?
My number 3 is I know the audience would love this one. So, and she's an engineer. She can do just about everything. I need someone who can build a water siphoning system and like do things that we need. Whatever it may be. So I got Juliette Nichols, number 3, for my list of zombie apocalypse people.
Juliette Nichols. All right, that's an interesting one.
Engineer.
Juliette.
She's the engineer of the group. Yeah.
I'll put in parentheses the engineer.
So I've got a tactician. I've got a hunter. I've got an engineer.
Katniss Everdeen.
Hunter.
The procreator.
Procreator. Mind you, I gotta compete with Jason Bourne and for other people to get my pick of the litter here. So
the muscle is what I'm gonna call Jason Bourne for you. Okay, cool. All right, awesome. So my number 3 then, my number 3, I guess plays the practical role in some ways.
okay.
With the fact that we can't have all men, right?
Okay.
In this
All right.
this
So
team.
you got one chicken.
I
sorry,
do.
gotta comment
Yeah.
out there. I hate that.
Yeah, a few people are gonna get pissed with you at
I
that
have
one.
to take the stick
So-
out of your ass.
So my number 3 is Ellen Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver. Ellen Ripley
Sigourney
from
Weaver?
Aliens. Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney.
Sigourney. All right. Well, I've always said Sigourney, so whatever. Sigourney Weaver.
You DiGiorno?
Ellen Ripley. Yeah, DiGiorno.
Sigourney. So I haven't seen Alien, so this one is lost on me. I have started a reverse chronological viewing
bro.
of the
Hold
Alien
on.
series. Hold on. Let me finish before you attack me.
I'm not gonna attack you. Is a question,
Is
but
it
finish.
lightning
Go ahead.
outside?
Go ahead.
I'm watching it chronologically, so I haven't seen her character at all in the series, so I don't know what she adds.
So what are you on right now? What movie?
So I stopped after the first one.
Prometheus?
No, I've seen Prometheus. And I'm watching it chronologically, not in the years that they released, in the actual storyline. I think I
But
saw
that's why I'm asking you, because Prometheus is the first one.
Alien is next up for me. I saw Prometheus and Prometheus is not the first one. Prometheus
Yes, it
is
Prometheus is the first one
Nah,
in
bro.
chronological order. Unless you're
what is
talking about
what
like
is the one
AVP.
after? What is the one after it? What is the one after it?
The one after Prometheus is Alien.
Covenant.
I literally just watched
Covenant.
it last
Covenant.
night. Yeah,
Covenant.
Covenant.
Okay,
I just watched that one for the first time.
I saw Covenant. So next up for me is Alien.
Okay, so
Then it's
Covenant-
Romulus. Then it's two Aliens, and then it's
yes,
3.
and then
Yeah,
Alien 3, and then Alien like Resurrection or something like that. So Alien Covenant is the sequel to Prometheus. Prometheus was the first one.
Yes.
Yeah.
You jog my
Yes.
memory. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just watched Alien Covenant. I finished that last night. It was the first time I watched that one.
Do you like it?
I've seen every other one. Not really.
I thought it was mid.
Yeah, I did see that they're coming out with like a Aliens Earth show.
Yeah.
Like a TV show. I don't know how I feel about that. But there's also supposed to be like a third installment of Alien. I think it's supposed to tie Alien Covenant into like Alien Romulus or something like that. So we'll see what comes out there. But anyways, Sigourney Weaver. Thank you for fixing the pronunciation of my number 3 there.
Gotcha.
Who is your number 2?
Number 2, I'm not completely settled on. Completely. And but she would no doubt be fantastic.
Dang. All right, you're weighted on one side, that's for sure. I'm weighted on the other.
I'm going Michonne.
Michonne from The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Resourceful. She can get things done. And she knows how to navigate crowded zombie areas. So, go Michonne. And I'm also, if you notice, I'm picking people who don't use guns very often, except for Jason Bourne. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm picking those because we got to be quiet, and I need to learn how to shoot an arrow. I need to learn how to use a sword. So, anyways.
All right. Can't complain about that. That's an interesting one. I did not see that one coming from you, honestly. So, Michonne.
Well, I'll be honest.
You're also trying to hedge your bets there with the number of women you got picked.
my top 5 here. Well, I did want to keep, think about these things because,
Yeah.
I wanted to think about these things.
That's fair.
This is not in any order because obviously Jason Bourne should be technically number 1 for me. But, anyways, go ahead.
All right. Well, so my number 2 is John Wick. It's Keanu Reeves. Got to have somebody that's good in hand-to-hand combat.
So he almost replaced either. So if I had to replace one of mine with John Wick, it would be Michonne or Juliet. But Jason Bourne is essentially serving that. Also, I don't think he would be good in a group dynamic. So for that reason, you're out.
You don't think John Wick would be good in a group dynamic? I mean, I guess it's fair. It's fair.
He's more of a lone wolf, but so is Jason Bourne.
Yeah, but at the same time, you got to have this scout in your group, right? You got to have the person you can send out and makes it back, right?
Yeah. Number 1 for me is the supreme leader of a zombie apocalypse situation, and it has to be Rick Grimes. That is
why did
hands
I know
down
you were going there?
Hands down has to be Rick Grimes. He's the definitive leader of a zombie apocalypse situation. This is the guy you'd want. He's not necessarily the best fighter. He's not the best shooter. He's just a good leader. Okay? And I matched him up with number 2, which puts me clearly at a 50-50 ratio with either Juliet or Katniss Everdeen in competition with Jason Bourne. So.
All right. Interesting one. So my number 1 is Dutch from Predator.
I thought you were about to say Dutch from Red Dead Redemption.
No, that's why I said it like that. No, it's not Dutch from Red Dead. It's Dutch from Predator. That's the character played by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, that blows up. Good.
I know, right?
Damn, I should have thought about that.
I know. It was like the first thing that came to mind for some reason was just some dude with big freaking muscles and big guns and grenades.
What about Rambo? I feel like Rambo would be terrific.
I've been a big Rambo guy.
Vin Diesel from Fast and the Furious.
Look, I gotta have a big gun guy outside of Keanu Reeves, right? Like Keanu Reeves, John Wick, he's my scout. Arnold Schwarzenegger is my tank, right?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not very happy with my list. Do I think we'll survive? Yeah, I think we got the necessary skills to survive in my group. I am missing a doctor. I was trying to find a doctor and a cook. I almost chose Carmy from The Bear.
Bro, this guy is gonna get pissed about his butter, and you're gonna have him in his zombie apocalypse.
I thought the vibe would have been brought down a bit if I would have brought Carmy on board. So, I was thinking. Also, Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad also was a possibility, and Jared Harris's character in Foundation because he could make food. It's a
good trait to have
from his body. But that is technically not
food
grounded.
From his body. He can make water from his body. He drinks his own piss. So, yeah.
Piss.
Yeah, I mean, Bear Grylls is our disgusting chef on my team. So, and survivalist and everything else.
If we're going brute force here, brute force, your team kills my team completely, like wipes them out. But you're all fighting over Sigourney Weaver. You're dead within
or maybe she just has a really good chance of getting pregnant.
Come into contact with.
Sorry if you're listening to this, but I'm just saying. I mean,
true.
Maybe that works. Let's move on to the next question. So the next question is kind of tied to this. It's character most likely to survive a zombie apocalypse. But what we're doing with this is what?
You know who would be funny to bring on? Like if I just put Shane Gillis, like in my freaking 5, like that shit would just be funny, dude. Just to have like one comedian, no skills, just cracking jokes the whole time. I feel like he'd be just cracking beers. He would be in charge of the brewery.
It's funny you say that,
like
though,
cooking,
because I was
like
when I was first thinking of my answers for this, I am spacing on the name of the movie right now, but that zombie movie. Is it Shaun of the Dead?
Oh yeah, Shaun of the Dead.
I think it's Shaun of the Dead. Zombieland. I think it's Zombieland.
Or Zombieland?
Right? That's the comedy zombie movie. Yep, that's the one with Woody Harrelson in it. I was just thinking somebody from that because I thought it was funny. You shot Bill Murray. Yeah.
Same.
So,
Same.
all right. So, anyways, on this
Same.
question, we're gonna kind of go head to head. So we just listed our top fives.
Twinkies. Okay.
I think I'm gonna let you be the judge. I think that'll be. I mean, you're gonna be biased as hell, but let's do that. We're gonna use the list that we built. We're gonna go head to head. We're gonna go 5 through 1, and we're gonna see who all the winners are. All right.
Oh God.
Who is the ultimate
Who's
survivor?
the ultimate survivor of the whole
we've
thing?
got
Okay.
Jason Bourne versus Jim from 28 Days Later.
I'm gonna have to say it's slightly.
I would
edges
agree.
towards Jason Bourne
I mean,
here
Jason
over
Bourne's a
Jim.
badass, right? So I will.
Jim is dead, dude. There's no way other than a stroke of luck, like a boulder falling on Jason Bourne.
Especially
There's
like
absolutely no
not
way
on his
Jim
own, at
survives
least not from like.
that scenario.
Although like part of the reason why I picked Jim though was because at the end of 28 Days Later, dude takes out like a whole freaking group of military guys. Right? Like, that ain't too bad. I mean, look, Jason Bourne's killed more people, I will say.
Jason Bourne,
but Jim, he put up a fight. I'll say he put up a fight in this one.
the thing with Bourne is that I don't think stroke of luck. I don't think he's doing any sort of villain monologues or anything like that. So you know what I mean? Like he's not. There's no small talk. He's just gonna snap his neck.
All right,
Like,
Jason Bourne.
that's what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna go Jason Bourne here. It's also thundering loud outside my room. So
that would suck. We gotta finish
my power
this.
doesn't go out. So
All right.
let's go.
Next up, Katniss Everdeen versus Bear Grylls.
Like
I'm saying,
are we saying like hand to hand
who would be most
combat
likely
or like
to
they're in an
survive a
arena?
zombie apocalypse? You got to take it all into account. Like, you got to eat, got to not die.
Well, I mean, listen.
You're biased.
Listen, man. Listen.
Yeah.
Bear Grylls was special forces. He was special forces.
All right. All right, you're not. You are.
I'm gonna
you're
go
honest.
Bear Grylls
You're an
here.
honest
Sorry,
man. Then.
Katniss.
All right, Bear Grylls it is.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
I
Let's
am.
go. Our number 3s against each other. So.
This is
Yeah. Well, no. That's not it. That's
John
not,
Wick.
Yeah.
Man.
So the number 3s are
Okay, bye.
Juliet Nichols versus Sigourney Weaver.
Once again, I'm gonna say Sigourney Weaver wins. Not that I've seen Alien yet, which I know is blasphemy, but I know that she can survive combat situations, and I've seen Juliet get hit once and freak out.
I'll agree with
so
you there.
she's dead. Also, I believe Sigourney Weaver's like half an engineer in Alien, if I'm not mistaken.
She's smart.
She's scientific. Like she understands science.
Yeah, not
science,
that kind of
bitch.
Smart, but
Yeah,
she's smart.
you know,
yeah,
it's
she's not Aaron Paul, bro.
yeah.
All right, let's go number 2s. So we got Michonne versus John Wick. No, I don't hear anything on my
Bro,
end.
the lightning. Did you hear that? The thunderstorm outside
It'd be
my house
wild
is
if
ridiculous
I
right now.
if
Like
I get
kind of
that
freaky.
soon. I'm like 400 miles away. God, that's so far. Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
John
Wick.
John Wick. Let's not even waste time here.
Yeah.
Go
All right, and then number
most
1,
certainly
we
no
got
less
Rick
power.
Grimes versus Arnold Schwarzenegger. All right, so I
Arnold
think I survive this. I might not last very long, but we'll survive.
Okay, now head to head, Jason Bourne versus who? Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, that would. Yeah.
I'm gonna go Jason.
course.
I'm gonna go Jason Bourne here.
All right, you ready for the next question? Next. Oh, the ultimate. Oh,
Hold on, we
we're
didn't
going
get
up
the
against
ultimate
all right,
winner.
So out of
Arnold,
all of these,
John
who's
Wick.
winning?
Yeah,
I think so too. I think
Arnold-
the order
it's gonna
that
be
we
Arnold
we
wins it
place
all,
these people
I
in are
think.
pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Or like I feel like Jason Bourne would be the great guy to like just kind of be there to protect Bear
And John
Grylls,
Wick.
the piss in a bottle and drink it person, and then Sigourney Weaver. John Wick's the scout, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's
Yeah.
doing. He's just doing some Rambo something. That's it.
he's just
All right.
just blowing.
All right,
shit
next
up.
question.
Yeah.
So we're gonna kind of deviate a little bit here. I got a few questions I thought were interesting. Is it more morally wrong to kill someone to protect your group, or to let them live knowing they might get you all killed?
Is it morally wrong? I'm gonna say yes. It's morally wrong.
Is
always
it
to do
more
What
morally
is the scenario
wrong?
here? Are they infected?
I don't think it's that
Are
they're
they
infected.
are they
I
infected?
think this is more. I wouldn't say dumb, but
They're dumb?
look, there's
They're just
always
dumb?
that one person in the group where you're just like, bro, shut up. Shut up. This is the kind of thing that you would see in Band of Brothers or something like that, where it's like you got somebody just kind of losing their freaking mind. They're hysteric. Like that. This is the scenario I have in my mind. Somebody is hysteric. They're making all kinds of commotion. Is it more morally wrong to kill them to protect the group, or let them live knowing that, like, hey, like, if I don't off them, you might get all 10 of us killed?
Listen. It's morally wrong to take anyone's life unnecessarily. Okay? So yes, it's morally wrong. But it is not a moral necessity to keep a bonehead in a group. So like, you don't have to freaking off the guy, but you could banish him. And he's like, you want to keep acting like this? You're going to get banished. I don't have patience for that kind of nonsense. If you're going to kill everybody, you're not going to kill everybody. Okay? We're going to vote you out. Or I'm going to just unilaterally decide you're not going to be here.
Well,
or
all right,
I'll,
so let me push you on this just a little bit. So
whatever's going to happen.
It's kind of like, which one is more incorrect, I guess. Let's move away from morality. Which one do you feel is more incorrect, to kill this one individual to protect the group, or basically like let him live but risk everybody else dying? And let me paint a scenario for you here. Okay, this is not just like,
okay, because it's too broad. It's too broad. You
No,
can't
no,
just
no,
be
no,
like,
no.
it
Well,
just
that's
can't
why
be
I'm gonna
like
paint
the
the
guy
picture.
was like
So
singing
it's
too
not just
loud,
like, we're all living on an island singing Kumbaya or something. It's you're in a situation,
okay,
and there's impending danger right next to you, like very close. Like
Okay.
imagine like you're locked in a building,
Yeah.
and in the next room there's like we'll use zombies, and if they hear you, they might come running. So he's being hysteric.
And what is he doing? Like,
and
is he
making
just like
noise.
yelling and stuff?
Yeah. All right. So cool. So we're killing him.
You got to
That's
choke him
good.
out.
That's what I want
You
to
got to
hear.
choke him out. Yes. I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you got to kill him.
In the
but you
scenario,
are
it was
choking
kill him
out,
or
at
let him
least.
live and risk everybody else's life. But yeah.
No,
exactly.
you can't
Okay.
let him go
And
crazy and kill everybody. You got to choke him out. 100%.
I'm on board.
And he'll probably thank you. He'll probably
with,
thank you
with
later,
getting rid of him at that point. Like, you just kind of got to do it. All right. Next question.
Yeah.
Is it better to die a human or survive as something else? I mean, we're talking about zombies.
what is
Are you
too
gonna? Would
broad,
you rather
Zach?
die a human
But I'm
or
gonna say
survive as a zombie?
I'm gonna say die a human.
How is
No,
that
die
too
a human,
broad? That's like
100%.
so fucking
Die a
specific.
human, 100%. I thought we were going like, that movie, the guy who's half zombie and then he falls in love with a
what are you
girl and his
talking
heart
about?
comes back to life and stuff like that. Maybe it could have been.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I forget what it's called.
Was that like one of those like teen
Decent movie.
zombie movies?
Decent movie.
I think I know what you're talking about. I don't think I've
it's
ever
like a
seen
teen
it.
movie, teen zombie movie, teenage zombie boy.
I know
falls
what you're
in love with
talking
human
about. I've
girl,
never
his
watched. I
heart
know what you're
starts to
talking
beat
about
again 'cause
though. No,
it's
it's
love.
I'm just trying to be practical here.
solid
Put yourself in the world of 28 years later, dude. Right? That's what all these questions are. 2 more questions.
Okay.
Would you save your partner if it meant putting the rest of the group at serious risk? So would you save the person you love if that meant putting the whole group at risk? And you can paint whatever situation scenario you want on this one.
Do you not have any like more broad? Like, honestly, of course you're gonna be selfish in that scenario. Of course, it's up to the group to try to like stop you, but good luck stopping. You know what I mean? So yeah, you're gonna risk. It.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, you don't want to be a jackass. You know what I mean? I'm not saying be a jackass. I'm saying, let's say freaking, your wife is kidnapped in the forest or some crap like that. You're going to be like, I need a group of 15 guys. We got to go get her back. Is that going to put the rest of the people at risk? Yeah, but do I, that's not my problem.
It kind of
we got to go
reminds
bring
me
her
of,
back.
I don't know if it reminds me of like Invasion, the Apple show where there was. I mean, you're just going off trying to save the kid or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. So
yeah, 100%.
how about me? I'd probably be
How
selfish
about
too.
you?
Like when I was writing the question, I was like, I'd be the person to just be like, F it, right? Like, yeah.
Let me ask you a question, not zombie related. If your child fell off the balcony of a cruise ship
Into the ocean?
would you jump in after them
Yeah.
to the ocean? Okay. All right. I saw a video and they survived.
Where
Did
are
they
you
survive?
going
Please
with
God, tell me they
this?
survived. Hold on. Saves daughter. Nah, hold up, because there's a guy. Please tell me he saved the daughter.
Father jumps off
Hold
Disney
on,
cruise
before-
ship to save daughter who
You're
fell.
gonna edit this
Is that
shit
what you're
out.
talking about?
Okay. Did he save her? Why don't they just put this at the beginning of the thing?
Because they want you to click and watch. Interesting. It just happened.
Jumped in, but they don't say that
they
she
say
survived.
jumped
Did she
to
survive?
save. So I'm assuming survived.
No, they say effort. Effort. Did the girl live? I saw the video. The guy jumps off his balcony. It's the most
Yeah.
one of the most courageous things I've ever seen. I mean, dude, we're not talking like this is like a 5-foot jump.
40,
This is
40
I don't know how many
plus
feet
I mean,
that
it's gotta
is,
be more
but
than 40 feet.
He was falling for a
1,
while. Like I
2,
felt like you could have
3,
counted to
4,
4 and he still didn't hit the
5,
water.
6, 7, 8. What is that? Almost like 80 feet? Damn. That's far. I mean, even hitting water, that's hard.
I have no idea. Why will nobody say if
You're
this
looking
girl's
at the thing
alive
from the
or not,
BBC.
bro?
It was a Disney cruise ship, right? That's crazy.
Yes, Disney cruise ship.
Yeah, we're rescued.
Okay, she
Father
did
and
survive,
his 5-year-old daughter were
I think.
rescued from the water after they went overboard. All right, bro, you took this thing from just
Oh,
like
thank
that got so serious.
Well, because then I started thinking about it. All I've heard about is that the father jumped in. I never found out what happened to the girl. I just always assumed because they had saved the dad that he was able to save the daughter.
No, 100%.
So anyways, you're jumping in.
I mean,
no second
you have a kid,
thoughts.
it's your life. Like you gotta do it. You know.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So
100%.
last question I have for you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, 80.
It's crazy
80,
that you don't
I know,
die
it's
on
like hitting
impact when you
concrete.
fall like that. By the way, you could die on impact. It's a miracle
Yeah.
that the girl didn't die. And it's a miracle he
it's,
didn't
it's
die.
a long way.
on
I don't
impact.
know
That's
like
crazy.
how high up you got to jump to hit water so hard you just die. But I mean, I know like it's gotta hurt.
Well, I've seen
Yeah.
these high jumps, and you have to break the water.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see these guys do like this Viking jump, and then when they go to hit the water, they're going like knees to break the water and like elbows to hit the water, like hit like to break the fall, pretty much.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it is like you said.
So
like
the
hitting
last
concrete.
question that you probably
Anyways,
complain
okay.
about
What
too.
was the last question?
So it's would you rather die a good person early or survive to become someone you'd hate? So thinking about being an more innocent individual, or just having to live through life by killing people, by killing things, just to survive. Would you rather die early or survive to be that person? I don't necessarily mean
I thought you
becoming
meant,
a villain,
becoming
but I
a
mean like
villain.
if you're going like, all right,
Hold on. Let me stop you right there. Are you saying
yeah,
Rick Grimes?
I think
is
Rick Grimes
what
could
you're
be a
considering
good
this person
characterization
to be a bad person?
of this scenario here. Yeah.
I would rather. Yeah, I'm okay with being Rick Grimes.
No,
but if
I'm
you're
not.
saying
I'm not,
I have
I'm
to
not saying you have to
become
become
Jimmy,
I'm just saying like you're gonna go through
from
some
28
shit.
years
You're gonna do
later?
some things that otherwise you would not have done. You're gonna kill some people. You're gonna kill some, in this case, zombies. Would you rather die? Would you rather die early?
I mean, the alternative is dying. The alternative is dying. What are my options? You want me to like? What are you
Yeah,
picking here, pal?
You've got no,
What are you picking?
No,
You're gonna
I
you want to
don't
die,
care
Zach? You
about
want
being an evil
to
bastard.
die and say, oh.
So it's do you want to die early? Do you? I understand that, but there's
No,
a
you
lot
gotta
of
survive.
squeamish people
You gotta
out there
survive.
that don't want to have to off other people. Like you don't want to have to be responsible for that.
And look, and And this is 2 podcasters talking about what they would do in a scenario in the zombie apocalypse. So look, the metal, rubber has not met the road in this scenario. But I would like to say that I would try to survive and not just go into the fetal position and say no. I'm not saying be evil, but you have to go kill zombies.
Really hard decisions.
You do got to do.
And I would agree. I would be the kind of person that wants to be the survivalist. I would want to live as long as possible. I like living. I'm okay with having to make some tough moral decisions, especially in an environment like that. So, yeah, I'm with you.
We have to make them now in a not as tough moral environment. Although I have thought sometimes while sitting somewhat drunkenly on the beach, I have thought of some scenarios sometimes because think about it. When a zombie apocalypse happens, the board is cleared. The chessboard is cleared. Mm-hmm. Nothing else matters but survival when the zombie apocalypse. It doesn't matter. That film you make, that, that website you design, that app you make, it's all worth shit in the zombie apocalypse, okay? All that matters in the zombie apocalypse is survival. And there is a slight bit of simplicity to the fact that it's just if I survive.
What's on my plate this evening?
Like the milestone. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the milestone is just survive. Yeah. If we survive, then we did okay today. And I think there's a lesson in that we should probably be more appreciative and not get so caught up in the meaningless crap that we get caught up in. Not that work is meaningless. Work is meaningful, but when it's you versus human flesh-eating monsters. Perspective aligns very quickly.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We care about these things. Break it down. You got your physiological needs in the bottom. Then we go into your safety needs. I feel like that's kind of probably where we focus for the most part in a world like this. And I mean, if you just think about like that being your only focus, like I agree with you. Like there is an element of simplicity there, and I every now and then I'm like, man, I think I'd kind of like that. Like, I mean, some days I just want to take my phone and throw it out the window. Like, I don't want to deal with petty people about just like stupid, unnecessary issues.
Knock on wood right now.
Yeah, I mean, every now and then I'm like, it might be nice to just have to focus on those couple of things. But then on top of that, you've got your social connection, so like love, belonging, recognition on top of that, so self-esteem, and then finally like your self-actualization or something like that. I don't remember. I think that's
who even knows what that means?
Every time I think of the hierarchy of needs, it always reminds me of The Last of Us. Well, I mean, like I feel like that's just the kind of like hamster wheel that we're all put in. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of The Last of Us season 1 though, with Ellie when she kind of they get to this new place and she's like learning of all of these things that these girls used to care about. Oh, makeup? What? Boys? Like, I don't know. Always reminds me of that. But that's all I got. You got anything else?
No, I think that'll about do it for our 45-minute episode that turned into an hour and a half. That's how much we're bringing. That's how much we're bringing to you guys out there. Just the content that we're delivering to you day in and day out. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope that you have subscribed to this channel by now. If you enjoyed our zombie conversation, let us know who your top 5 people you'd like in your zombie apocalypse team would be, and what you thought about ours.
I hope you listened to this episode and enjoyed the whole episode. If you did, please drop some comments on it, like it, share it with people. It helps us. Yeah, please. We're trying to hit 1,000 subs.
Get us to 1,000
subs. What are we at right now? We talked about throwing something in our videos. We're almost to 900. We're at 877. So we got a little ways to go. Help us get there. We would love to do more of these episodes. I think this was a fun one. You and I haven't done one on a movie in a long time, if ever. Yeah, this might be our first movie coverage. So we definitely got to step it up with that. But yeah, like I said, like, subscribe, share, comment. It helps us in the long run. We hope you liked this. You can catch us anywhere you find podcasts. That's going to be Apple and Spotify. It is? Yeah.
It's quite fitting.
Is it really?
Danny Boyle is the
that's
reason I
something
got
to
into
say.
production.
You want to close
Maybe.
this out on that?
In a sense, like if the takeaway I had from Slumdog Millionaire was to the such that I thought there's no medium more impactful than visual storytelling. I think my the top two more impactful mediums to me is film and video games. I think that's probably in terms of moving and gripping people. And he got me into that and wanting to pursue that. And he's we're talking about his film.
It's kind of
as
poetic.
our first coverage here on
very,
the show.
Very
so
poetic. I think
maybe
I definitely think
do
we
more
should.
film
This was
coverage.
fun. So,
Yeah.
anyways, you can find this anywhere you find podcasts, Apple and Spotify primarily. Or if you'd like, you can visit a website at soapbox.house. You'll find links to this show and a lot of the other things that we cover on the channel. So be sure to take a look there.